If an employer has more than 20 employees, health and safety representatives must be designated. The number of representatives depends on the nature of the workplace, such as one for every 50 employees in certain industries or one for every 100 in offices. These representatives must be full-time employees who are familiar with conditions in their department. They can review the effectiveness of safety measures, investigate accidents, receive complaints, and inspect the premises. Representatives also attend or convene health and safety committee meetings to communicate findings. The functions of a health and safety representative are broad. They can examine causes of incidents, identify potential major hazards, and make recommendations. They have the right to inspect documents relevant to safety and may accompany inspectors or attend formal inquiries. Employers must give them reasonable assistance and training to fulfill these responsibilities. Representatives are protected from civil liability if they fail to notice something, as long as they were acting in good faith. In workplaces with 2 or more representatives, a health and safety committee must be formed. The committee includes all representatives plus persons nominated by the employer. This committee meets regularly, at least every 3 months, but can convene more frequently if conditions demand. The committee discusses incidents, near misses, hazards, and can issue recommendations to the employer. All actions and recommendations should be properly recorded, and if there's a serious disagreement or unresolved matter, it may be referred to an inspector. Certain actions are prohibited without authorization from the minister. For example, the minister can declare that some work is too hazardous for certain categories of employees to perform, or that certain articles cannot be sold unless they meet set safety standards. Under Section 22, no one may sell or market items that fail to comply with the prescribed requirements. Deductions from employees' remuneration for safety costs are prohibited by Section 23. An employer cannot pass the cost of safety compliance, like paying for personal protective equipment, onto the worker. If an incident meets a threshold of severity, serious injury, loss of a limb, unconsciousness, or a major hazard scenario, it must be reported to an inspector. The scene of a fatal or life-threatening incident must not be disturbed, except for rescue or to prevent further harm, until an inspector authorizes it. Medical practitioners must report cases of occupational diseases to the employer and the chief inspector. The Act forbids victimizing an employee for giving information or testifying regarding OHSA compliance. Inspectors have broad powers under Section 29, such as entering premises, questioning employees, and seizing documents or items relevant to investigations. Inspectors can issue prohibition notices if they see immediate threats, stopping certain work or use of machinery. Non-compliance with a prohibition can lead to enforcement actions. Inspectors can also require employers to take specific steps to remedy unsafe conditions within a stated time frame. If the time frame is inadequate, employers can appeal, but must still comply in the meantime if it is a prohibition. Should an incident occur, inspectors can conduct an investigation or formal inquiry to establish facts and recommend further action. They can subpoena witnesses or gather any related documentation. In serious incidents, a formal inquiry can proceed jointly with an inquest under the Inquests Act when a fatality is involved. These proceedings help clarify causes and determine whether criminal or civil charges may follow. Any decision of an inspector may be appealed to the chief inspector, who can confirm, vary, or overturn that decision. Further appeals can escalate to the industrial court. Section 36 bars unauthorized disclosure of certain confidential information an inspector obtains, except when needed for administration of justice or with the parties' consent. Section 37 addresses liability if an employee or contractor commits an act or omission that would be an offense. The employer can be convicted unless they show the employee acted beyond authorized scope, did so without employer's permission, and the employer took all reasonable steps to prevent the wrongdoing. Both employee and employer may be charged in some scenarios. Section 38 details the penalties, fines, or imprisonment. In extreme cases, fines may be substantial, and jail sentences can range up to 2 years if someone was seriously injured or died because of negligence. No private agreement or contract can override the requirements of the OHSA. Even if an employee signs a document purportedly removing an employer's liability, the act remains in force. Certain exemptions might be granted by the minister, but these usually come with strict conditions. The remainder of the Act clarifies the process by which the minister can issue regulations, incorporate health and safety standards, serve notices, determine the jurisdiction of the courts, and apply the Act to government departments. The law's primary purpose never changes: to preserve life and health, reduce the burden on the national healthcare system, and minimize injuries and fatalities. Annexure 1 in the training material presents a sample form for recording incidents. It includes fields for personal information: name, identity number, date and time of the incident, part of the body affected, the type of injuries, the expected period of disablement, and whether the incident was reported to the compensation commissioner or the police. The form also includes a section for an investigator's findings and recommended measures. Lastly, there is space to document how the employer will prevent a recurrence. The Health and Safety Committee may add remarks. A further example is a letter of appointment template that can be used to designate responsibilities within an organization. This template references Section 16(2) of the OHSA, making it clear that the CEO can assign duties to a particular person who acknowledges acceptance of the appointment and is thus tasked with ensuring compliance in their area of responsibility. In summary, the OHSA is self-regulatory, assigning ultimate accountability to the CEO. That individual ensures that all employers' duties are performed, including hazard identification, risk assessment, employee training, appointing competent people to supervise, and investigating incidents. If an incident is severe, the burden of proof often falls on the employer to demonstrate compliance. This is a shift from innocent until proven guilty to prove you did the right thing, which highlights just how robust these obligations are. By thoroughly applying the Act, regulations, and standards, employers can prevent accidents and occupational diseases. The Act anticipates that hazards will always exist in some form. The key is continuous risk management, a cycle of identifying hazards, evaluating their seriousness, controlling or eliminating them, and informing those who may be affected. Employees must cooperate by following instructions and reporting concerns. It is advisable for all organizations to take advantage of guidance provided by recognized standards such as SANS or ISO 45001, which lay out frameworks for implementing and maintaining an occupational health and safety management system. These frameworks encourage documentation, worker participation, and ongoing evaluation of safety performance. They do not replace legal obligations but can support compliance and best practice. Other legislation, like the Basic Conditions of Employment Act or the Labor Relations Act, may also influence how you manage workplace health and safety. For example, a pregnant employee must not be assigned tasks posing a specific hazard to her or her child. Under the Labor Relations Act, there may be requirements to consult with health and safety committees on certain workplace changes. Non-compliance in these areas can lead to further legal consequences. The essence of the Act is risk mitigation. When a hazard is identified, the employer must explore how to lessen it using the most effective means reasonably available. This is a systematic process. First, try removing the hazard entirely. If not possible, replace or redesign equipment or processes. Then set administrative controls, signage, and training, and only last rely on personal protective equipment. Detailed training for employees ensures they understand their roles and responsibilities. As part of daily or weekly routines, employers might hold short toolbox talks, focusing on issues like housekeeping, manual handling, safe use of tools, chemical labeling, personal hygiene, or machine guarding. These educational moments keep awareness high and encourage employees to speak up about hazards. Engaged employees often provide valuable input that management or external inspectors may overlook. When incidents occur, the protocol is to document them comprehensively. This includes capturing what happened, who was involved, the nature of injuries or damage, immediate and root causes, and what changes will be made to prevent a repeat. Serious incidents must be reported to authorities. Subsequent investigations may involve internal managers, safety representatives, or outside experts. Without a thorough understanding of root causes, the same dangers may persist, leading to more incidents. In many cases, the same evidence used to determine cause and prevention measures can also be used in legal or compensation proceedings. Proper record keeping is essential. including registers of hazardous substances, inspection checklists for machinery, training records, and health surveillance results. Documents proving compliance may shield an employer from liability if they show that all reasonable steps were taken. Non-compliance can bring severe penalties. Section 38 of the Act enumerates fines up to certain thresholds and even imprisonment. A matter that would be culpable homicide if someone died can become an OHSA offense if there is serious injury or risk of death. The courts then decide on punishment, potentially including significant fines or jail time for responsible individuals. That is why top management involvement is non-negotiable. Where an employer is found guilty of an offense related to the deduction of safety equipment costs from an employee's pay or neglecting to provide equipment, the court may order reimbursement. If employees give testimony or cooperate with inspectors, employers are forbidden from retaliating. A climate of transparency and openness must prevail. At the end of the training material, an annexure on incident recording and investigation is shown, providing a step-by-step template for both the initial reporting and the subsequent investigation. Its fields prompt you to note time and location, the person affected, the nature of injuries, any relevant machinery or tasks, potential causes, and recommended corrective steps. The final portion gives space for management's formal response and the Health and Safety Committee's remarks. The letter of appointment template is another practical tool. It shows how a CEO or a delegated person can formally assign health and safety responsibilities to a colleague with the right training and authority. The text acknowledges Section 16(2) of the OHSA, clarifies the scope of work or project for which the assignee is responsible, and underscores that the assignment does not relieve the higher-level individual of ultimate accountability. Both the assigner and assignee sign and date the document, and it may be witnessed. As we have covered throughout this content, the Occupational Health and Safety Act is comprehensive. It deals with definitions, duties, prohibitions, reporting, inspections, committees, and the legal consequences of non-compliance. By integrating everything from disclaimers to legal definitions and applying each provision meticulously, you maintain a safe workplace. That protection extends not just to paid employees, but to any person who might be affected by your organization's actions. Having listened to this complete training, you now have a thorough overview of the entire learner guide on legal liability and introduction to OHSA. You have heard about disclaimers, definitions, the legal framework, the responsibilities of employers and employees, health and safety structures, risk assessment, training requirements, and incident reporting protocols. You have also heard about the annexures and templates that provide concrete examples of how to meet compliance requirements. With this knowledge, you should be aware of the necessity to implement a structured safety management system, the seriousness of abiding by the hierarchy of control, the value of thorough investigations and record-keeping, and the fact that penalties can be severe when negligence leads to serious harm. The law does not merely suggest these obligations, it compels them. To ensure ongoing compliance, remain proactive. Conduct periodic reviews of your HIRA processes. Keep training materials current, especially when regulations change or new hazards emerge. Update any letters of appointment if roles change. Keep your Health and Safety Committee engaged. Solicit their feedback and follow up on their recommendations. By doing so, you fulfill both the spirit and the letter of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. This completes the comprehensive audio transcript, reflecting the entirety of the Legal Liability Intro to OHSA Learner Guide contents. Thank you for your attention, and remember that safety is everyone's responsibility. By diligently following the Act and striving for continuous improvement, you protect lives and livelihoods, and contribute to a culture where health and safety is firmly woven into everyday practices.